everyone, to the world's greatest news and reviews. I am Captain Mao.
Well, I want to talk right now. I'm Weapon 2, and I came to get down. I'm not internationally known, but I'm known to rock this microphone.
Damn, you're so good. You flow just so easy. And thank you guys for joining us on the 4th episode of the world's greatest podcast. Oh my God, can you believe it? We're on the 4th episode.
That's awesome.
We're just banging these out.
As excited as a person could be.
As always, we got our producer behind the camera, Mr. Harvey. Give a big shout out to that guy, making it all happen on the tech
Sup,
side.
Harv?
Hey. And if you guys have been following us, you can see we are short one member of the team. T. Crowley could not be here because, he has adulting and stuff like that to do. But I dare say...
I think it had something to do with Germans.
What?
Germans.
Oh.
It was Germans. Germans came to town, and he couldn't leave.
And he's handling that. Don't
Yeah.
you guys worry. But fear not. I feel like we'll do a fine job keeping this ship going.
Oh, yeah.
But so instead of shout-outs to start, we actually, if you guys have been following us for a while, you know that we've been doing this big contest, right? This big giveaway. We're on the road to 500 subscribers. We're trying to get there. So for every 100 interval level, we were going to give away a prize. And thanks to you guys for liking and subscribing to the channel. We've hit 100 subscribers. And we are going to announce the winner of our very first giveaway. Mr. Weapon 2? I like the drum roll.
Jennifer is our big winner. Jennifer.
That's right, Jennifer. Jennifer, you won. But you've already been contacted. You know that you won. So we are putting together a care package that's going to be full of all kinds of neat shit, all kinds of nerdy stuff.
We're going to film a video of us stuffing that box.
That's exactly what we're going to do.
We're gonna pack that box.
Such a child.
And we're going to film a video.
We are going to film a video of us putting all the goodies inside, all the awesome nerd goodness that's going to be coming her way. And she's happily agreed to show herself unboxing it. So we'll edit that all together and pop out a neat video showing our first giveaway. Hopefully, this will motivate the rest of you out there to spread our channel around, because you already being subscribed automatically enters you to win for the next contest. So yeah, the more times we hit the 100 level interval, we hit 200, 300, 400, all that, the more chances you have to win cool shit.
Yeah.
Free shit.
Sooner you sign up, the more times you have to win.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, and it doesn't cost you anything. It's like free. Who doesn't want free stuff?
It costs us money. Like, we're the ones buying the shit.
We're the ones paying for it. All you have to do is hit some buttons and share some stuff.
So I'm not saying we're trying to buy you guys off, but I'm trying to buy you guys off. So
Come on. I wish I could get these prizes. These prizes are so awesome.
Yeah.
They're just so awesome.
Hey, a couple of the stuff that I bought for the box, I almost kept because I was like, wow, this is pretty dope. This is cool shit. So yeah, enter the contest.
Yeah.
But all right, so that's our first winner. What are we going to? News? Is that what we're doing first?
News. Let's do some news.
Let's do some news. Okay.
What's in the news?
So I prepared a few topics that have been flying around over the last few weeks. Nothing super major, but things that I want this guy's thoughts on. So the first of which being that the DC universe, streaming universe, whatever, original series Swamp Thing has been canceled after the airing of its first episode.
I hate that.
I feel like you did. I felt that you would, because I haven't seen it yet, but apparently the pilot episode has been getting great reviews.
It was good. I've seen the first two.
He looks amazing.
It's good.
So tell me first off, what did you think of the first two episodes? Like, how were they? Like, give me like your little mini review, if you will.
So they were good. They had kind of a what you expect from the Swamp Thing comic, where it's kind of a little horror feel to it, and everything was. I mean, of course they don't have a huge budget. They're not doing a bunch of CGI and stuff. So some of their effects were I don't know what you call it, practical effects, it's not like you expect at the cinema. It's not what you expect at the movie theater, but it was good for what it was. It was really awesome. I like the acting was good. The sets, everything had a good feel to it. The story was good. And I watched the first one. I was like, all right, I can't wait for the next one. And then I hear they canceled.
After you saw the first one, you texted me, and you were really excited about it. Like, you seemed like it was pretty dope.
And I was really upset when I heard they canceled it. At first, when they said it, I thought I was going to get no more episodes. And I was like, son of a bitch. But I think, I really wish... Well, there's a bunch of business going on here with Warner Brothers and their own streaming thing, and I'm sure there's all kinds of think they're making some plans about what they're going to do. But I think this is what I wish. I wish they wouldn't have announced that they're canceling it. I wish they would have kept that a secret. I wish they would have let the season progress. I wish they would have let the first season do however many episodes it was going to do. And then at the end, after seeing how successful it was, I mean, because I got the DC, streaming, whatever it is, and they're taking content off. I'm not happy with the content. I'm happy with some of the content. I'm really into it. But I just wish I could have enjoyed it without this cancellation. And if they saw that it was good, just do another season or whatever. It seems like the only thing that they want to probably save is the Titans. I kind of liked Doom Patrol a little more for as far as how different it was. The difference it was from other stuff, I kind of liked it for that too. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not all the way done with Doom Patrol yet, so I'll save my opinion for once we finish it. I know T. Crowley really liked it, so maybe we'll do a review on it. Yeah. But so the thing with Swamp Thing is back to the budgetary thing. That was part of the initial problems. Was its budget got cut in half. Like it was supposed to be a lot more than what the network allowed them to use. So like that was the first hurdle they were facing, and it was ordered for a 13-episode season. And from what I read, it was about episode 8. While they were in production of episode 8, they were told that, no, you're going to get 10 episodes, and you're not getting renewed. Like, this is all you have. So I'm actually curious on the back end how well it's going to hold up, or if it's going to seem like they were scrambling to wrap everything up, which is probably what's going to happen. And there's no, like, legitimate reason why. Like, there's lots of reports, like you said, it was about budget, but what seems to be is that it's about Warner Brothers wanting to make their own streaming app. It's about the mergers that's happening. It's about them wanting to do their streaming service and probably move all the DC content there. And maybe they're picking and choosing what's going to go there. But it's kind of shafting people like you who are paying money for this service. And like you said, you're losing things. You're losing content. Nothing would piss me off more.
I'm telling you right now, I'm on the fence regularly about whether I'm going to cancel. I'd kind of like to know if this is going to roll into Warner Brothers or if I should just, when I decide that I've seen everything I want to see, just cut my losses. And there's another thing about this. What they were talking about is, it's filmed in one of the Carolinas, North Carolina, South Carolina, and they'd built this big set, so like the swamp, so they didn't have to go into the swamp to do this. And I heard that there was some kind of a thing about how much money was promised to the state for them to film in there, and something changed, or they didn't follow through with what they said. So now there's some trouble with the state of one of the Carolinas.
Also, this thing's just screwed. Like this whole productions, which is a shame because, like I said, that still image that I saw that was released of him, he looked great. Like he looked.
Oh yeah,
really amazing.
No, his look is amazing. I don't think they could have made him look better.
Yeah,
the look of
he looked like a movie. Like he looked exactly like I would have designed him for a movie.
Exactly.
But all right, let's keep it in the realm of DC. So one thing that kind of constantly annoys me is that writer-director Zack Snyder seems to just intentionally be trolling the internet because like every day it seems he uploads some shit on Twitter about the Justice League or about BVS, and it's usually concept art or story elements that he was gonna do. And so what this has fans clamoring for is the quote-unquote Snyder Cut of Justice League, because as you all probably know if you're listening to this podcast, Justice League, the movie, was a real jumbled mess. Snyder couldn't finish it due to personal issues he was having, so Josh Whedon came in, rewrote and reshot some of the movies, so it really feels like the work of two different people. But the Justice League, in our humble opinion, I think we both agree it was an okay movie.
Yeah.
But when you have some of the best comic book characters in history and your movie's just okay, that's a failure. But a lot of people are like, we want the Snyder Cut, release the Snyder Cut, or a director's cut showing his vision in its entirety. And this is really starting to irritate me because, one, there is no Snyder Cut. They're not going to release a director's cut with his version of the movie because he didn't finish the movie. He didn't film the scenes. He didn't edit it the way he wanted to. It's not his movie. They're not going to let him reshoot stuff and spend millions of dollars getting a new movie together just so he could re-release it. Just because, like, what if it is better? Then everybody's going to bitch that that's the way the movie should have been. But what really pisses me off about this is I loved Man of Steel, and I really liked BVS despite a lot of its flaws, right? So I was on board for Snyder's vision of the Justice League. A lot of people didn't like Man of Steel. and more people didn't like BVS. So these are the same people that hated those two movies and that are like pitchforks and fire demanding that we see his vision and his version of this movie. And I'm like, this is the dude you guys have spent years bashing.
Yeah.
And saying he's a bad director and a bad writer.
It's a lot like this other stuff you said you didn't like. So, I mean...
Yeah, it's going to be more of that. Like, it's not going to be different. So does that irritate you too? Like, have you been seeing this stuff?
There's a lot of stuff that irritates me nowadays about how people think that everything has to be their way. That they think that all these other people think the same way that they do because they don't like something. But everybody, if you ask them what their opinion of what should have happened or what should have been, would be different anyways. So they wouldn't all agree if you said, what should it be? They're just like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And why? I don't know. It's just not the way I thought it should be. This is art.
Yeah.
Movies are art.
Yeah.
And sometimes with art, you look at it and you say, I like this or I don't really like it. And the thing that, when it comes to movies, the art that decides whether there's going to be this artist is going to do another one is how many people show up to look at it. And if they don't show up, don't worry. He's not going to do another one.
Yeah, it boggles my mind. And, back also, like, talking about the fandom that is complains and bitches out of nowhere. I'm not an artist. I'm not a writer. I'm not a director. I'd love to be, but I'm not talented. So I can't make a better movie. But anytime I don't like a movie, I always follow it up with, here's what I probably would have done.
Right.
Here's where I think the story should have went. Here's what where I in control what I think should have happened. I hate it when someone's like, oh, I hate this, and it sucked. And I'm like, okay, why? What would you do differently? What would you tell me? Like, tell me in the comments, tell me face to face, like, how would you make a better movie? So when people can't follow that up, I think they're just hating on it for the sake of hating on it. You know what I mean? They're just like, I don't like it, and I can't explain why, but it's stupid. And it's like, no, it was somebody else's vision. You don't agree with it. Doesn't mean it's bad. It just means you don't like it.
Some people are just super negative and they thrive on complaining. And a lot of this is just this vocal minority who just like to complain, and everybody thinks all these people don't like it, when it's not really all these people. It's just a lot of people.
It's what you said. It's a very, very vocal minority. The problem with, like, the age we live in is, like, because of the internet, everybody can have a voice.
Yeah.
And, like, not everybody needs a voice. Says the guys on a podcast. We need a voice. So, hey, thanks for the like and subscribe. But, yeah, so I don't know. That kind of stuff's just driving me crazy. Harvey, what do you think about that? I know you really liked Man of Steel and BVS. So does this kind of stuff bother you?
The one issue that really bothers me is the direction they went with Superman. They had a chance with Man of Steel to reboot his powers, like pull him back a little bit.
You think he was overpowered a little bit?
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, there's a certain point where your hero is just always going to win, and there's nothing compelling about that.
I feel you. I feel like the only time that was very apparent, though, was the fight with Steppenwolf, whatever. Like, in that fight, like, he wasn't even... Superman didn't even break a sweat. He wasn't even bothered. That wasn't even hard for him, and I felt like that's where they dropped the ball. Everything else, though, I thought was fine. I was fine with everything else.
I really did like the rest of those movies, for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have a little nitpick.
Yeah, they're not perfect.
Yeah, but I mean, I understand Superman's going to be Superman. He's going to be powerful. But there is a certain point where he's just too much.
Well, no, and I concur. And that's part of the inherent problem with that character. And that's why it's tricky to make him interesting. And that's why I think on an emotional level, you got to kind of humanize him and let us relate. And I think that's what Man of Steel did. Like, he's still OP for sure, but it let us connect with him as a character, as a person, as a human being. I think that's what they were trying to do. And then I think it just went to hell in Justice League.
And one thing I think they did really well was, what was it, Amy Adams played Lois?
Yeah, Lois Lane.
Yeah, I think that whole aspect was really well done.
Yeah, no, I concur.
The whole tugging on, like, he's being pulled in two different directions.
Right.
That was pretty good.
I know that one of our fans, though, probably our biggest Superman fan, you know who you are, hates Amy Adams as Lois Lane.
Oh, really?
Hates her. Like, oh my God, he went on a rant when we were at work one time just complaining.
Does he have like the 1996 TV show version in his head?
Oh, yeah.
Is that what it is?
Who was that? That was from Lewis and Clark. Who was that?
I can't remember.
What was her name? What was her name? It was Dean Cain.
She was a brunette.
She's so good. I can't remember her name.
Oh, I gotta look
that's who
okay,
he wants.
I'll look it up.
But as you guys probably know, like, part of the reason we started this channel back in 2016 was immediately following Batman v Superman, because it was getting so much hate that I felt was unwarranted, and we were just like, no, let's make something where we praise movies and we praise the attempt, and except for our Hellboy review, we really try to do that. But
Well, I mean, we're going to be honest too.
yeah, we're never gonna lie.
And I'm not, I think that I try to have an open mind and be objective, and I like to have like a fair evaluation of stuff. But I'm also going to tell you what I think. I'm not just going to say something's good if it's not, but I'm also going to try to, and I'm going to try to be better about trying to explain why I don't like something and be constructive and just, kind of like, I don't want to just bash things to bash
No, I feel it. But in watching some of the reviews that you and I have done this year, I feel like I'm a little bit harder than you are. I tend to be a little meaner, but it's only because I want everything to be good. That's the problem.
I totally agree with you. And I think that I'm a little bit less dismayed by a movie if it's not.
Oh yeah,
good.
I get too emotionally
I'm not
involved.
quite
I
as
get
hard on it.
You're just like, it wasn't that good, whatever. I'm like, fuck them, fuck everybody with anything to do with making this movie because they disappoint me. Rawr. But all right, so Terry Hatcher is her name. It just came to me.
I just found it.
I'm as good as your computer.
It was 1993 to 97 was his
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I think that's who he likes. But keeping with our DC theme, another story floating around is that James Gunn is reportedly
I like this.
and works to rebuild the DC cinematic universe. As you guys may or may not know, he is writing and directing the Suicide Squad follow-up. Don't know if that's going to be a sequel or a reboot or what, because DC, they haven't really been clear about how their movies are proceeding forward, what direction they're doing. But what do you think, Weapon 2? What do you think about that?
Well, I think that in theory, this is a great idea. I think what the problem is, what's been the problem all along, is Warner Brothers executives not letting the comic book people and the people in the movie business build their story, build their universe, go in the direction they want. And if we have a movie that's mediocre, it's cool as long as it's part of the story and we're trying to build towards something, instead of them just freaking out every time they see some feedback on the internet, on social media, in reviews, on Rotten Tomatoes, or whatever. They panic and start freaking out and then just do a 180 and start heading the other direction. So if they are actually going to let him have some creative control and do this, 100% agree with it. I am suspicious of that organization and their ability to do that.
I don't think they're gonna. And because if you remember, after BVS was somewhat of a disappointment, they were just like, oh, Jeff Johns, we have Jeff Johns. And if you guys don't know, Jeff Johns is one of the greatest comic book writers of the modern era. I think a lot of his New 52 run with DCEU is great. He made Aquaman cool. So he's a great writer. And they brought him on. He was going to be their consultant, their Kevin Feige for Marvel. You know what I mean? And they're like, this is our plan, and we're writing the ship and all that. And then they got a couple bad reviews again, and Justice League bombed. And now he's out of nowhere, and now they're bringing in James Gunn, which, again, I concur with you. Get a talented guy and let him be talented, or her, whatever. Let a creative person be creative, but you got to hold the course. You know what I mean? You can't, like you said, something bad happens, and they get the hell out of there. And it's I keep referencing Phase 1 of Marvel. Aside from the first Iron Man, none of those movies were a runaway hit.
Right.
Either from the box office or from critical reviews, or all of those, the original Thor, the original Cap, Iron Man 2, Hulk, none of those were great. It wasn't until the Avengers happened, and at that point we had payoff because they had steered the course, and then we have the MCU.
Well, Kevin Feige, he said up until the Avengers was successful, they still didn't know if any of this movie stuff was going to pay off. And because, they were coming right out of bankruptcy. That's why they had to sell off all their properties to Sony and to Fox. And so they were having trouble. And they said, well, we've still got these characters that we still have control of. We're going to make a go of this. And once, he says, not until Avengers was successful, they said, oh, okay, I think we're going to be all right. We're on to something.
Yeah.
But before that, it was touch and go.
So the main problem from a standpoint of somebody who doesn't know what's going behind the scenes is that from just your average DC fan, I think the biggest problem they have is that this perception of it seems like they keep almost restarting and doing one-off movies. Nobody, we thought that we were going into Suicide Squad thinking that this is going to be a part of a series or part of a larger universe, and it ends up being what seems like it was just its own little thing. And nobody knows really what's going on. Nobody knows how to follow this stuff. And maybe it's a false perception, but it's still there.
No, you're totally right. That's partly why we're mad.
It's because they keep panicking and changing directions, and they're just running around in circles. They don't have a clear mission, goal, idea of what they're going to do. And part of that, if you do that, is sticking with it. I mean, this whole thing about these movies having to make $1 billion, this is new. Movies didn't used to make $1 billion. No movies used to.
You want a fun fact? When The Dark Knight back in 2008 made $1 billion, that was only the 4th movie in history to do that.
And they think that if these movies don't get close to $1 billion or break $1 billion, they're a failure. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not. As long as you're not losing money and the story's going the right way, go with it.
Yeah.
Just stick with your course. I mean, there is not a thing. I just had a discussion with somebody at work today. There is not a thing that made me more infuriated than when the end of that Shazam movie, when Superman's costume showed up.
Yeah.
This is the thing. The fact that Superman even shows up in that movie is completely unnecessary unless you're doing something to promote your DC universe and get me excited about a Superman movie. And showing the costume is not going to get me excited about seeing a Superman movie. Showing Cavill in a costume would have got me excited. I would have gone bananas. I would have been super excited. But the costume just pissed me off.
Well, and you said it really good in our review of Shazam, which you guys should totally check out. When you were like, that made me sad because that shows me that all Superman is a costume.
Right. And that they still they haven't committed,
which is a shame,
to this great actor
that
is a great
That's
Superman.
The fucking travesty, because we're about to lose Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
And Henry Cavill loves being Superman. He loves that he's the character. He really has a passion for playing him. And to me, personally, he's the definitive Superman of like my generation. I fucking love him as Superman. And if we lose him because he's understandably frustrated because there's no plan for Superman right now, there's no Man of Steel 2 in the works, there's no anything in the works. If we lose him, along with losing Ben Affleck, like, it's at the point now when DC news comes out, I don't even care. I don't even care anymore. I'm like, it gets no emotional response. I'm not mad. I'm not like happy. I'm just like,
if I cared, I'd get mad about this stuff. You're right. I just don't care anymore.
And that's the worst fucking part when you're people like us who really care about this stuff is when you don't care. Like, that's a shame. But all right, we've done plenty of videos kind of talking about our how we don't like what's going on with DC. So check those out. But let's switch up to Marvel a little bit. And Jessica Jones Season 3 dropped this past weekend on the Netflix. Have you guys checked it out yet?
I am about 3 or 4 episodes into it, and I am enjoying it so far.
I am on episode 5, and we won't get too deep. We won't go spoilers. I'm kind of disappointed.
Are you?
I'm a little bored. It is not hooking me the way her previous seasons have. I'm sure it'll pick up at the back end. I still have faith. I love Jessica Jones. To me, she's the second best Netflix series just under Daredevil. But
I was disappointed with season 2.
Me too. It dropped off a cliff.
Yeah, it dropped off. So
But I feel like season 1 of Jessica Jones is one of the best single seasons of a superhero show, period. Like, that is fantastic.
I fall into getting to where I'm wanting something to be good, and then I have to start figuring out, is it good, or is just me wanting it to be good? And I'm still somewhere where I haven't figured that part out.
I feel like I'm giving Jessica Jones the benefit of the doubt. Like, I love the first season. I thought the second season wasn't anywhere nearly as good. It was okay. It got kind of dumb. But this one, I was excited for this season, and I'm like, I want to see where it goes. But 5 episodes in, I'm not feeling it. Harvey?
Can we talk about how perfect Christian Ritter is?
For the character?
For the character.
Oh, no, she's fucking amazing.
Like, I was watching Breaking Bad the other day.
She's good in that, too.
Yeah, she played the girlfriend of Jesse.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like even back then, before she ever even thought about doing Jessica Jones, like I could be like, oh, yeah, this chick is the chick for this.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's why the show was so good in its first season, because you completely believe that she's this person, right?
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest thing that I think was a problem through all of the Marvel movies, some of them are television series on Netflix, whether you liked some of them or you didn't, was how good the villain was. Mm-hmm. Because season 1, I mean, I can't remember what his name was, the Purple Man.
Kilgrave.
He
legitimately
was
terrifying.
Yeah, holy cow.
Yeah.
Talk about terrifying. He was an awesome villain. And that, the kind of, when you get like this tense feelings and you feel anxious when this villain's around, that's when you start, oh man, this is going to be a good season.
And what was really great about him was he wasn't like a physical match to her. He couldn't beat her in a fight.
It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, it was a psychological thing.
He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to lift a pinky to do anything in his life.
If you guys don't know, for those of you who might not have watched Jessica Jones or be familiar with Kilgrave, the Purple Man, his power is if he tells you to do something, anything,
you do it.
You do it. And it's not like you're forced to do it and you're mad about doing it. Like, in the moment, you're 100%, I have to do this.
Cut your own head off. You start cutting your head off.
And like,
it's terrifying.
If someone's restraining you, you will try, like, it's going to kill you if you don't cut your own head off. And that could go any way. So, like, with Jessica Jones, he stumbles across her, wants to be with her. So he's like, oh, you will be with me. You will love me. You will go here. You will be happy. And like on the surface, it's like you are, but deep down on the inside, you're like fighting it. Like, you know, you're not happy. And so his effect only lasts a certain amount of time. So once he's away from you after that time passes, I think at first it's like 12 hours. It wears off when you're like, what the fuck? Like, why did I do that? What's going on? Type thing.
But it's like there was like some haunting residue of where there was like some of this stuff that was still.
And part of the reason, she was
inside.
very much going through like the PTSD of it and all that. And so one of the great things about the show, the first season, is like you very much quickly realize that, you know, he was forcing her to be with him and like have sex with him and all that. And she's very much, after this whole thing transpired, you're like, damn, like he was technically making her be with him against her will, you know? So I'm like, oh, there's going to be like, you know, an allegory here for that, for, you know, rape, but I bet they're not going to straight up say it. They can't, whatever, you know? And then when she like encounters him the first time and she's like yelling at him, she's like, you raped me, asshole. And I was like, oh my God, they went there. Mm-hmm. But it never like belittled her character. It never made her seem like a victim. It never made her seem like less of a capable person. It was just something shitty that she overcame. You know what I mean? And that's why the writing was so good and the story was so good. And he was interesting also because think of you had these powers from as a child where no one just ever says no to you. No one can physically say no to you. You wouldn't even know kind of that what you're doing's messed up. Like, he didn't even understand. He's like, rape you? What do you mean? You wanted to be with me. Like, he didn't even get it. And that made him more terrifying because he didn't understand why he was being evil.
Because that's all he knows.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what it's like to be one of us. All he knows is everybody doing everything he says all the time.
Yeah, that's terrifying. But then, so like, then season 2 takes a nosedive because what they did after that was nowhere near as compelling. But she was still cool and fun to watch, but it wasn't anywhere as good. So this season now, it even seems, I don't know, a little bit campier to me. I don't know. I'm want to watch the whole thing, and then I want to review it with you guys, but we'll see.
Well, I haven't seen any villain introduced yet. I mean,
no.
Well, can I say who Patsy? I mean, she's.
Well, if you guys don't know, yeah, Patsy. Well, spoilers for Jessica Jones.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is that a spoiler?
Nah, fuck it.
She's Hellcat. Hellcat's kind of a cool character from the comics.
If you don't know who Kilgrave is, you don't fucking know who Hellcat is.
Yeah,
so.
and so anyways,
I like that she's becoming her.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I still haven't figured out who the villain in this
That's the problem, because if it's the serial killer dude, I'm going to be extremely disappointed because he is not interesting. He's not compelling. He's not even a good actor. Like, I'm not intrigued with him at all.
Yeah.
So if he's like the big bad for this season, then this is going to take a nosedive for me even harder. But anyway, I hope it picks up. From the reviews that I've seen, I heard that it ends very well. So yeah.
But but like what we've been saying about Fox, this is it. So I mean, this is the end.
Yeah.
So
I would
it's either good or it's not.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe she'll show up again. But keeping it with Netflix though, a show that you and I really liked, Love, Death, and Robots, got officially announced to be getting season 2. So my question to you is, since it's an anthology series, meaning that every episode was a standalone story, there's no reports as to how season 2 is going to be, how many episodes it's going to have, anything like that. Would you want every single episode to be a completely brand new story, or would you want mostly new stories, but some kind of sequels spread in there for some of the really good episodes of season 1? Would you want to see continuations?
No.
No? You want it completely, even though some of them we really loved?
No, and this is what I want. What I want is those ones to go on for a full series so I can see a good, long story built around those. And I want that to happen. I don't want to see...
Right, you don't want them just mixed in.
One more little tiny short episode and go, oh, that was really cool for a short time. I wonder what's going to happen next. So, yeah, that's what I want. I want this to be what it was I want whatever they did. I want it to be again the same thing.
And then you want spinoffs.
And then I want at least 4 of those to be their own series. And I would watch the whole season, every season they put out.
Check out our Love, Death, Robots Season 1 review. We go into what every single episode is about. We don't spoil anything. Spoilers free. But we talk about what each one's about. Harvey, have you seen that yet?
Yeah, I have, actually.
It
was really good.
It was totally up your alley. Like, I figured you would probably be really into that.
Total sci-fi geek. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they did a really good job on every episode. There's some I didn't like too much, but it was good variety. You didn't know what you were going to get.
Yeah, every
a lot
episode.
of surprises too.
Totally different. Every episode, like, because you kind of binge them because they're so short. Like, everyone took me like a minute to get into because the animation is so wildly different. But you're right, great variety though.
To that point, like a lot of times, like storyline will surprise you, like events in a story. Sometimes just the art direction was surprising. Like that was really refreshing, actually.
It was, and again, kind of shows how like series and movies and stuff are still a work of art, like you were saying. Like this really emphasizes that.
And I loved that it wasn't a bunch of time invested either. I mean, even the ones. I mean, there's
The longer ones were only like 18 minutes.
Yeah, and even the ones where you're like, oh, wasn't that great. It was kind of visually okay.
Right.
I didn't invest a ton of.
You're not watching it for an hour and a half.
And I watched all the thing. Oh, okay, that was
It's
interesting.
5 minutes, and then you're like, not for me, but good.
Right.
But yeah.
And kind of, I mean, that's kind of good for you to watch, and then you have time. You can watch every single one of them, and it's not going to be a huge time investment. And then you can just. I kind of like the little bite size options to watch these things, and I kind of like it like that. I wish there was a way I could vote. We could all vote on. I want you to do a whole series of this. I'd punch the crap out of the button on some of those things.
Yeah, like we talked about in the review, there's about 4 of them that I would literally kill somebody to make those a series. Yeah. But it's cool. It's a good change of pace because, like Jessica Jones drops, and I'm like, oh, this is great. It's 13 hours of my life, though. You know what I mean? Versus these, like you said, you just bang them out. You see 20 minutes, you can see 4 of them. So, yeah.
And I kind of think that would be probably a good financial model for them if they did it that way, because then they could get instant feedback about what people wanted to see.
Oh, you're talking about like voting on?
Yeah.
Shit.
They could get instant feedback about, oh, okay, holy cow, there's a lot of people that like this, instead of them filming a whole season of something and then finding out, oh, I guess people don't really like this.
Right. Yeah, to kind of give you at least an understanding of what people want.
Netflix, if you're hearing me, I think you need to do that, okay? Just
Netflix,
do it.
I know one of you execs are listening to this podcast with 106 subscribers, so yeah, you should totally do that. All right, so I think that'll do it for the news, unless either one of you had anything to add.
Nah, I think that's good.
All right,
what about Black Mirror?
Black Mirror. Oh yeah, the new season of that dropped.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, I you know what? I'm a huge fan of Black Mirror.
Yeah, me
and
too.
These recent episodes, not so much.
So, have you watched it, Scott? Or Weapon 2? Let's
No.
give away your secret identity.
What? They know now. Okay, crashed, bust the computer. Nobody can know. I have to be honest. I didn't watch all of the other seasons. I watched a lot to some of them, and I couldn't really get into this one.
So, I have a list that I just keep on me when I recommend the show to people of the episodes you should watch.
And that's a lot of the ones that I watched.
Yeah, I think I gave it to you. I was like, you should watch all these. So at its best, it's an anthology series. Every episode's a different story. At its best, it's phenomenal. And so far, at its worst, it's been just kind of okay. But still pretty good story, but just not for me. This last season, though, was not good.
No, not at all.
No.
Like some of the twists in it, like especially
if you
in
can
the
call
first
them a
episode,
twist.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's not that. It wasn't that surprising, and it wasn't even good.
This one, the best episode was okay.
Yeah.
The worst episode was boring and kind of dumb.
It's more like meh.
Yeah. It was like, what? Like the video game one, though, the Anthony Mackie one, which I think was the best one. And it had kind of, I don't even know if you'd call it a twist, but was just a little bit interesting. Yeah. That one totally had me like reconsidering my relationships with friends and like playing video games online. So like that was neat.
That tells me a lot about you, Vic.
It does.
Yeah.
I fucked a polar bear. But yeah, the other two were just really dumb. This is the first time I've been disappointed with Black Mirror.
Hey, Vic.
Yo.
You want to play some Street Fighter after this?
I mean, only if I could beat Chun-Li. If you watch Black Mirror, you'll get the joke. Yeah, disappointed. I'm still a huge Black Mirror fan. I'll still recommend it. I just won't recommend any of the episodes of this last season. But yeah, all right. So good call on that. Do we want to jump into our top 10 now?
Top 10. Let's go top
Do the
10.
meat and potatoes of this. So if you guys listened to our last podcast, episode 3, and you should have, we gave you our top 10 superhero movies of all time. 2 of us did. Lonnie didn't. But
Well, he tried to get caught up, and he made a list.
yeah, he made a list, but he didn't know what we were doing. Yeah. He thought we were doing top 10 superheroes. But
He's not.
he
He's not. He doesn't have a lot of attention to detail.
He needs to work on listening.
Yes, yes.
But so for this one, keeping that theme going, we're going to do our top 10 worst superhero movies, comic book movies, whatever, of all time. So Weapon 2 and I will go back and forth. We haven't talked about this at all. We don't know what's on our individual lists, our respective lists. There we go. But I could dare say we probably have some similar movies on here. But without further ado, Weapon 2, what is your 10th worst superhero movie of all time?
My 10th worst superhero movie of all time is, and this is because I feel like it trashed a direction that they were going of success, Hellboy 2019.
Hellboy 2019.
Like I said, I mean, this reboot, it ruined, a perfectly good franchise. Ron Perlman, Guillermo del Toro, they had some really big shoes to fill with those guys, and they didn't even come close. Those actors didn't come close. The director, I don't even know who the director's name was, but he was bad. And the movie, I don't know what the plot exactly was. It was going in all types of directions. It was confusing and uninteresting, and I just hated it. And it's like Lionsgate took a proven fan favorite from 1 and 2, and they just took a huge dump on it. That's what I felt about this.
Yep. Good call. So, my number 10 worst superhero movie of all time. I think this is a great example of maybe just something being fresh in your memory. Makes you kind of think it's worse. But I swear to God, this is not planned at all. My number 10 worst movie of all time is Hellboy 2019. It is my number 10 spot as well. For all the reasons you just mentioned, I will add on top of that the egregiously, insultingly bad CGI. Yeah. Some of the worst CGI I've seen in a mainstream movie ever. Everything about that movie is a failure. If you're curious and want to know more, like we dive in as to what our real thoughts are, check out our Hellboy 2019 movie review on the channel. Weapon 2 and I did, where we really ripped that movie apart. But yeah, not a good movie at all.
Yeah, I agree. Do you want to chime in on what you think maybe some of yours?
It so happens that Hellboy 2019 is my number 10 too.
Oh, okay, right here. Across the board, everybody.
I'm making an official claim of shenanigans. Shenanigans, sir.
I'll have to get back to you about number 9.
Number 9 through 1.
Yeah, number 9 through 1. But yeah.
Did you actually watch it though?
No, actually, I haven't seen it yet.
Don't spend money
after
on it.
watching your guys' review, I don't think I'm going to waste my time on it.
No, don't. I mean, it's not even worth your time. So like, if you could watch it for free, I guess. But that's time of your life you'll never get back. Don't do it.
Yeah, I think I've lost enough time in my life.
But okay, let's move on to number 9, Weapon 2.
My number 9 worst superhero movie of all time is X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Ooh.
This is the movie who put the end to their origin series they were going to do. Magneto was supposed to be the next one. There's some accuracy to the comics as far as Sabretooth being his brother. That wasn't true. It was a big mistake to portray the Merc with a mouth without a mouth.
Yeah, that was a good call,
I don't know
Fox.
what's going on. It's just, I don't know. The movie, if they were trying to make a bad movie, they would have been successful, I think. I don't know. It just, everything about that, there was all these, it was just not good. It was just, there's just so much about it that just wasn't good.
So I have some thoughts about that movie, and spoiler alert, I'll get to them later. But I agree with everything you just said. My number 9 movie, worst movie of all time, superhero genre, is Fan 4 Stick. Fantastic Four, the reboot that came out in, when was this? 2015, 2016, some shit like that. So this is by writer director Josh Trank. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, this movie was terrible, and this was another great example of you hiring a young director because he had just come off Chronicle, which is actually a very good movie, and he had a vision for the Fantastic Four that was going to be darker, more horror-based, and apparently the studio didn't like that at all, and there's lots of stuff on the news or the internet talking about reports of clashes between him and the studio on set, him walking off apparently, and you just see like this really butchered movie where there's parts of what you can tell it's his vision with going the horror route, and then like you could tell like the studio's like, no, we need to camp this up, we need to make it more happy and all that kind of stuff, and it just comes off like a jumbled mess. Nobody in it's good. The plot doesn't make any sense. Victor Von Doom, Dr. Doom, who is one of the greatest villains in the history of comic books, is portrayed in such a disgustingly terrible manner. And like, oh my God, I never thought the 2005 version of Dr. Doom would be like the better version in a movie. This movie, again, fails across the board. It is embarrassingly bad. One of the lowest rated movies on Rotten Tomatoes, bombed in the box office. And yeah, it was terrible. Very bad. Weapon 2, you're number 8.
Number 8. This is Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
Oh, you don't like Atomic Man?
No. I mean, thanks to this movie, it was going to be 20 years before Superman to appear on
He throws all the
on the
nukes
big
in the
screen
sun,
again.
man.
He battles Nuclear Man.
Is that his name? Was it Nuclear Man? Not Atomic?
Yeah, Nuclear
Okay.
Man. Nuclear Man.
I just remember his nails.
It's a huge statement about the Cold War. It was all about the Cold War back then. It ignored. It had a lot of horrible fight choreography, and I think that they even used a lot of scenes from previous Superman
Yes,
movies.
they did. They
instead
totally
of
did.
shooting new ones. It's just, it was just it. It was the epitome of just a cheesy bad movie.
Is this the one where he rebuilds the Great Wall of China with his eyes?
Yeah, I think
That
so.
was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is not a good movie. All right. My number, what are we at? Number 8?
Hey, do you have any you want to put in here, Harvey?
Just chime in. When we
Yeah,
talk
come
about
on.
a movie you hate,
got
just
you got a number
dive
8?
right in.
You have a number 8 right now?
Let me get back to you.
Okay, thanks. All right.
My number 8 is Ghost Rider, Nicolas Cage one. So I have heard that the sequel, Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance, is worse. I wouldn't know because I didn't watch it because this one was so bad. I had zero desire to watch this movie. Now, I should preface this by saying I love Nick Cage. I'm a Nick Cage fan. I will totally watch the shit out of some Nick Cage movies. This was unbelievably bad, though. Like, I think what a lot of these movies on my list have in common is just this overly cheesy theme where they think that these comic book movies, you can tell people who make these, think the source material is stupid and dumb and for kids, so they're not curious about, adapting it in a way that makes sense. You know what I mean? They're not considering it like a movie that needs to be taken seriously, and this is just really, really bad. Everything about it is cheesy and over the top. Nicolas Cage is overacting every fucking scene that he's in. The CGI is bad. The villains are bad.
Can I ask a question? When is Nick Cage not overacting every
No, but sometimes it works in movies.
Nick Cage acts. He acts as though it's Nick Cage. He acts.
He's
he plays
Nick
the
Cage.
part of Nick Cage.
It's just to
playing a
what
part.
number, right? But you know what? In Gone in 60 Seconds, it works. In Con Air, it works. In Face Off, it works. That can work in some movies. Damn it! In this one, it did not work though. Put the bunny back in the box. But whatever. That was my number 7. All right, Weapon 2. Your number 7 worst superhero movie of all time.
Number 7 is Fantastic Four.
Fantastic.
2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we commented on some of this. This was the movie that was so bad it ruined director Josh Trank's chance to make a Star Wars movie.
It did. He had episode 9. Now he does not.
And the sad thing about this is we got the first family of Marvel, and there's never been a good Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah, they got like increasingly worse.
And there's just never been a good one. So we got the properties back to Marvel, and hopefully this is going to change here in the future.
And so, like, the first family of Marvel, like, that's a travesty. But Doctor Doom, again, like, that's the big problem. Like,
Doctor Doom is my favorite comic book villain.
yeah,
Doctor Doom is my fave. So yeah,
yeah, I'm ready for a good portrayal of him and Fantastic Four.
yeah, I agree.
My number 7 worst ever comic book movie is Elektra. Now, I don't really hate Elektra. I can get through it. it's one of those ones that I just realized it fails across the board. It is not a good movie.
It was on my list and I took it off.
It was an honorable mention? Yeah, it's not good. The reason it's not lower, I think, is because, what was that, 2004, 2005 when this came out?
Yeah.
But anyway, 2005, Jennifer Garner running around in that outfit gets me through a lot of this movie. But bad. Like, she had no chemistry with anybody in that movie. The villains are forgettable. CGI was bad. Just if you have like a checklist for what makes a shitty movie, like she checks every box. So yeah. Number 6, what you got?
Number 6. This is going to be very short because it's just a few things that I have to say to make my point. And that is Steel, 1997.
That was Shaq.
All I have to say is Shaq acting.
The Shaq attack.
Shaq as a wannabe Iron Man. That's about all I have to say about that movie.
Oh, I bet that holds up so well. All right, my number 6 is X-Men: The Last Stand. So this is the 2006, the third installment of the X-Men franchise, the first time they tried to do the Dark Phoenix story. It's also had a secondary story mixed in with finding a cure for mutants. This is like the first truly bad X-Men movie, because before this, X1 and 2 I thought were very good movies, especially X2. This one takes a nosedive. It really makes director Brett Ratner comes and takes over the franchise and does a lot of questionable things, including just completely changing up characters. Like Wolverine is a completely different character in this movie than he's been portrayed previously. They kill off people for no reason. This is where they start screwing up the timeline of things. This is like overly cheesy and overly campy, and like nothing freaking makes sense. This movie, I thought when it came out, I couldn't believe how hard of a nosedive like a franchise of what was good movies took. I thought it couldn't get any worse than this. I was wrong. Number 6, what you got?
Well, that was number 6.
Yeah, did your number 6? Oh, that was number 6? Oh, okay. You go. Gotcha. 5. We're on 5.
There we go. Batman and Robin. There's only a few things I have to say about this. First, bat nipples. Mm-hmm. Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. Some of the cheesiest dialogue in superhero movie history. So one of the scenes that is a key movie in this, or part of this, is when Batman and Robin play hockey with a bunch of Mr. Freeze's
like the bat skates?
With the boot ice skates. And, I mean, again, if the goal was to create a horrible movie, that would have been a success.
All right, I'll talk about that movie in a little bit. My number 5, Spider-Man 3. So my number 5 and my number 4 are very interchangeable. I actually didn't know which one to put over, and I'll get to the next one here in a bit. But Spider-Man 3, again, talking about what was a promising franchise taking a nosedive in the third installment. For the time, Spider-Man 1 and particularly Spider-Man 2 were very good movies. Haven't aged very well, but they were at the time. Spider-Man 3 is terrible, and this is another great example of a studio having a lot of say and making a director do things they don't want to do, because Sam Raimi's famously gone on record as stating he didn't want to do Venom, had no desire to have Venom in his movie whatsoever, and he was forced to do so. So Venom is one of my favorite villains. He's my favorite Spider-Man villain, and I was very excited that he was in this movie until I saw him. How Venom was forced in there and the way they portrayed that character pissed me off to no end. I thought they would have had a good enough story with either Harry Osborn's Goblin or the Sandman, but it was a great example of having too many things going on. The symbiote storyline on Peter, which again could have been its own series of movies, and the evolution of Venom was shoehorned in so comically bad, including the infamous Tobey Maguire like strut dancing bullshit he did while having the symbiote on was super bad. And like it, and then all the bullshit drama with him and Mary Jane, like he and Mary Jane and what's the actress who plays Mary Jane Watson? What is her name? I know.
Was it Kirsten Dunst?
Kirsten Dunst.
Yes.
There we go.
They have zero chemistry together. Like even when the good movies, it's like watching two mannequins like try to emote. So in this movie where they're having to like shoehorn in all this bullshit relationship drama, it was almost painful to watch. This movie, again, it really took a nosedive. It failed across the board. It did a disservice to one of the coolest comic book villains, I think, and I absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
All right.
Number 4?
Number 4.
Catwoman, 2004. The director of this movie has never directed another feature film.
I wonder why.
I mean, it's at a 9% Rotten Tomatoes rating. in addition to its lack of accuracy with Patience Phillips.
Yeah,
what kind of character
they
is
just
that?
made her
That's
up.
just a made-up name.
Yep. All names are made up.
It's just plain bad effects, bad acting, bad dialogue, a plot that involves poison skincare, makeup products, and it has some of the most awkward scenes in movie history, in my opinion.
Concur. So my number 4 is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. See what I mean? How these two movies could be interchangeable? I didn't know which one I disliked more between Spider-Man 3 and this one until I gave it some very deep thought. So The Amazing Spider-Man, the reboot, I thought the only really good thing about that was the chemistry between the new guy playing Spider-Man. What the hell is his name? I'm usually really good with names.
The guy
Andrew
with the
Garfield.
dark hair,
Andrew
yeah.
Garfield,
Yeah.
Garfield and Emma Stone. They had very good chemistry. So that was the only believable thing about that movie. This movie, absolutely terrible. It's terrible. It is cheesy. It reminded me of Batman Forever, and not in a good way. The villain with Jamie Foxx is literally like this just Spider-Man obsessed fucking psycho who gets really pissed off because Spider-Man couldn't remember his name. The Goblin is completely shoehorned in there and unbelievably bad and cheesy as hell, and finds out his dad has been dying of this fucking crazy disease that only affects his family for some reason, and it took him 40 years to die, but he just found out he has it, and now all of a sudden it's super important that he gets the cure because he's dying like now. We also find out one of the cool things about Spider-Man as a character is he's just a kid. He's just a kid who gets powers and decides to be a hero because tragedy strikes, and he realizes with great power comes great responsibility. And this, we find out that his dad apparently was involved with Oscorp, and the only way you can get these superpowers is by being a member of his bloodline and then getting bit by the spider, and then you would get superpowers. So it completely takes like the randomness out of it, about like just a random person getting these powers and choosing to do the right thing, which then takes away what is inherently special about the character, that he chooses to stand up and become a hero. And it also sets up the Sinister Six movie, which they wanted to do. And
Sinister Sticks?
Sinister Six movie, shut up, that they wanted to do. But again, like they made everything center around Oscorp, which again, for wanting to build and expand a universe, having everything take place through this corporation was really stupid. It made everything feel really small. Electro was laughably bad. Who else? There was another villain in this. Who else was in this movie that was really bad? There's 3 villains. There was Goblin, Electro.
Was Sandman in that?
No, that was 3. There was somebody else in this movie. There was also a 3rd villain. I can't remember, which means he was good. No, it was bad. It was terrible. The only saving grace of this movie is when they killed Gwen Stacy. Oh, Rhino.
Yeah.
That was terrible. And they showed the end shot of the freaking movie in the freaking trailer. This movie sucked across the board. It was bad. It was cheesy as hell. It was not a good movie.
Okay.
All right. Number 3?
Number 3,
Okay.
Supergirl, 1984.
Ha! I forgot about that movie.
You'd think that after Superman 3, they wouldn't want to waste their time making any more Kryptonian spinoffs, but you would be wrong. The plot in this one is probably one of the dumbest plots I've ever seen in a movie. It starts out, she's living with a whole bunch of Kryptonians in Argo City in a pocket of a trans-dimensional space. She's goofing around with a little tiny ball that happens to be the Omega Hedron, which powers the entire city. She's rolling it around like it's some toy.
Yeah, sure.
And without this Omega Hedron, they can only survive for a few days if something happens to it.
Good thing she's playing with it like it's a fucking toy then.
Yeah. And she loses it, and it flies through a little hole that's punctured in the barrier, and it flies out into space and lands on Earth. She goes after to retrieve it, this little thing, and she doesn't have the regular foolproof Kryptonian disguise of glasses. Her disguise is she changes her hair color in this, and then nobody can recognize her.
Sure.
She uses her superpowers in broad daylight. Nobody in this movie seems to notice. A crowded street, she's just superpowers going on, and they're like, nothing's going on. She runs afoul with some witches that are trying to get their cougar hands on some young dude with a love spell. It backfires. She falls in love with her name is Linda Lee in this. And so they go to battle with these witches. It's just one of the weirdest movies of the 80s you've ever seen. And there's a lot of weird movies in the 80s. So that says a lot. It's just super weird. I watched it again for this, and it was crazy.
I don't know, man. That sounds pretty cool. Sounds interesting, he said sarcastically. All right, what do we got, 3?
Yeah.
My 3 is Batman and Robin. For a lot of the same reasons you said, just the definition of camp and cheese. Everything Arnold Schwarzenegger says is a one-liner. The story makes no freaking sense. Things just kind of happen that you're like, oh, well, that's incredibly convenient. Scenes make no sense, like, you know, when they start outbidding each other to get a night with Poison Ivy, and he whips out his Bat credit card with the expiration date forever. There's just goofy sound effects through all. The entire thing is bad. It's so bad. But I feel like you could watch this movie today through the context of getting drunk with your friends and kind of like roasting it and kind of just like making fun of it as you're watching it. So there is technically some enjoyment to be had here. But in terms of taking this seriously as like a superhero movie, specifically a Batman movie, it is god awful. So yeah, that's my number 3. Number 2.
Number 2, Captain America 1990. We can say a few things. He has rubber ears on the outside of his Captain America mask in this movie because he couldn't figure out how to let the guy's ears poke through. There's a horribly done red skull. It's a head that looks like something undescribable, but not a skull. Later in the movie, he doesn't have a skull anymore. He's just got scars on his face because he's had so much plastic surgery that now you can't distinguish that he used to have a red skull face. He's just got a horribly scarred face. Captain America has never been successful in battle. The first time he goes up against Red Skull, he gets his ass kicked. He gets attached to a missile in your classic 1960s TV Batman fashion. He's launched along with the missile towards the White House, but before he takes off, the Red Skull, he grabs Red Skull's hand. And instead of maybe the Red Skull like stabbing him with a knife or cutting his name, no, the Red Skull cuts his own arm off to keep from getting launched, apparently with the missile on Captain America towards the White House. As the missile's coming towards the White House, there's a kid out on the lawn snapping pictures of the White House. Captain America sees this.
It sounds awesome.
He starts kicking a fin to keep from having this missile crash into the kid that's in front of the White House, which directs the missile instead of to the White House to Alaska, where he's immediately frozen. He's never really done anything. He's never been really a superhero. He's just got his ass kicked one time by the Red Skull, and then he winds up in Alaska where he's frozen in ice. When he comes out in 1990, that kid is now the president of the United States.
Sure.
And so they find him, they dig him out, he's in this solid block of ice, they come to take a look at him, he breaks out of the solid block of ice, not even like it melts or anything, he just breaks out, he takes part in there's the president's kidnapped, he goes to save him. The sad thing about this is at the end when you watched it, because I watched this whole thing, because you can find that on YouTube, the president turns out to be more of a badass than Captain America. He's running around punching people and kicking ass more than Captain America. It's really a horrible Captain America movie.
So for all you Chris Evans haters, maybe watch this and then you'll appreciate him as our Captain America.
Oh, and by the way, it went straight to video. It was made as a feature film and never saw the theaters. It was released straight to video.
Or the YouTubes. Okay. My number 2 is X-Men Origins Wolverine. So T. Crawler, as you guys have probably noticed, likes to bring this up randomly in conversation, claiming that I like it, just to infuriate me. I don't think there's ever been a superhero movie experience that I've gone to the theaters for that I left where I was more visibly angry. I was pissed off. So Wolverine isn't my favorite character, the way he is Weapon 2's, but he's like top 3. Like I really like Wolverine. He was probably my favorite character growing up. And I was super excited for this movie because if you know anything about Wolverine's origin, he has a fantastic origin that would be heartbreaking and amazing to watch. And the trailers kind of made it seem like they were going in the right direction with it. The movie opens up pretty accurate to the comic where you're seeing him as a young kid in the 1800s. They kind of shoehorn Sabretooth in there being his brother, which didn't happen, but you're like, whatever, I like the direction they're going. And then it proceeds to show them going through every war together that America's had. I'm like, oh, this is a great fucking movie. They do that for about 2 minutes, and then they start with the plot in the 80s so they can connect it to the
And
X-Men
that
movies.
right there's kind of the best part of the movie.
That literally, if you just walk out at the end of that, you're like, that was a pretty good movie. And then they start connecting them to William Stryker, and it has to take place in the 80s because, you know, they have to tie it into the other movies. And from here, it is just the worst thing you'll ever see. The worst CGI I have ever fucking seen when he's in the bathroom and he's looking at his claws for the first time. I like to call it Who Framed Roger Rabbit CGI because they literally look like cartoons. Like cartoons. And as he touches them together, they spark because reasons. The plot in this was so bad. Like, he has a love story with this chick that he has no chemistry with, that is boring as hell. You found out how he got his name Wolverine, which is the dumbest fucking story you'll ever hear. They fake killing her, which how the hell Wolverine didn't know she was dead, I don't understand. So that way they would allow him to put adamantium in him, even though they have Sabretooth right there, who has the same fucking powers as Wolverine, works for this dude, and was totally willing to undergo the same process. So I don't know why the hell that was even a thing. And like you said, they show Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, and they freaking sew his mouth shut. Gambit's in this movie. A lot of people don't remember that, and it was ridiculous bad, and he's made to look like a stupid chump. Nothing in this movie made sense. Everything looks like it's on a freaking green screen because it is, and they couldn't spend money to make the CGI look good. This movie, just thinking about it, pisses me off. I almost rewatched it just so I would have it fresh in my brain to be able to talk about everything about it that made me mad, but I could only find it to order on demand, and I was not going to pay money for it. It's you are not worth $3.99 or the hour and a half of my time. Yeah, this movie really pissed me off. Oh, and the best part of this entire movie, right? So they have this entire scene where he breaks out all these freaking mutants that are being held captive and being experimented on and all this kind of shit. And the worst looking CGI face, Patrick Stewart, shows up as a Charles Xavier to help them, get to the X-Jet and all that. Which, why are you going to try to de-age Patrick Stewart? Motherfucker looks like he hasn't aged in 30 years, naturally. So that made no freaking sense. But okay, so whatever. So they get Wolverine, and it's the writers all of a sudden realize, hey, wait a minute, he's supposed to have amnesia in the X-Men movies. How are we going to do that? I fucking got it. Adamantium bullet. What's that? Yeah, Stryker gets an adamantium bullet, shoots Wolverine in the head, and that magically makes him lose his memory. And Stryker somehow knew that was going to be the effects of the bullet. That was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. That was stupid. It made no fucking sense. I hate this movie. I'm getting pissed off now just fucking thinking about it. I'm about to go on a rant. No. Fuck. Ugh. Go to number one. I hate this movie. I hate that movie. Fuck you, Fox.
Number one, Condor Man, 1981.
Oh, fuck is Condor Man?
It's a Disney movie.
Oh.
It's a movie about a comic book creator who wants to act out all his comic book stories in real life. Oh, and he actually becomes a spy for the CIA thanks to his roommate. He flies with weird retractable hang glider wings. He has a condor mobile and even a condor boat. The plot's ridiculous. It's just a bunch of nonsense, and he runs around like a discount Batman James Bond trying to outwit people without having the tools required to outwit the KGB. Yeah, I mean, I've
literally never heard about this.
You can see most of that on YouTube also.
Oh, interesting. All right.
I'm older, so I've seen some of these things.
My number one is Catwoman, 2004. Now, I almost had X-Men Origins Wolverine as my number one, but the reason it's my number two is because there are a couple scenes in there that are somewhat enjoyable. There's a few things that are pretty interesting, and it actually gets an emotional response out of me, in case you couldn't tell. Even though it's anger, it's still a response. Literally, there is nothing good or interesting or at all about Catwoman. That is the worst fucking movie I've ever seen. Just to touch on some of the things you talked about, she has no chemistry with not just her supposed love interest, but anybody in the fucking movie.
Yeah.
The writing is physically painful to have to sit through. This scene where they're playing basketball and they're supposed to be flirting, but they're just kind of fucking dry humping to the worst soundtrack I've ever fucking heard.
Doesn't she start acting like a cat?
Oh yeah, that's part of the thing. She gets these powers and actually starts acting like a cat, licking herself and going crazy for catnip in public, at work. Nobody notices that something's fucking weird here. The stupidest looking costume I've ever seen. The CGI looks worse than PlayStation 2 graphics. I remember at the time thinking it looked bad, and it looks fucking terrible. And again, the music is really shit. The music when she's running around doing stuff is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. Like I said, the plot involving her corporation and the skincare shit is unbelievably dumb. And part of the reason this is so stupid is because Selena Kyle, the actual Catwoman from the comics, is super fucking cool and super interesting. And a standalone movie about her story would totally work and completely be something I would watch. This was the dumbest fucking cash grab I've ever seen. In fact, but until this review, until we were making this list, I'd never even seen the whole thing. Every time I attempted it, I would get to the basketball scene and be like, nope, I can think of a lot better shit to do with my time. I forced myself to watch it for this review, and I was like, it didn't piss me off the way Wolverine did, but at least Wolverine got an emotional response out of me. This was just so unbelievably bad, I can't even be mad at. It's laughably bad. So that's why it's my number one.
Okay. I got one more to add.
You got an honorable mention?
This is a 0.
A 0.
And the reason that I didn't feel like I could put this on my list is because this was never actually released.
Not even like a straight-to-video?
No. This was, I'm going to tell you this story. You can see this on YouTube, okay? But it's all bootleg things. This is Fantastic Four in 1994.
I have seen that.
What happened was in 1983, a German producer approached Stan Lee. He wanted to get the options based on the Fantastic Four. 3 years later, he paid $250,000 for the rights to the Fantastic Four. Set in 1992, it was getting ready to expire, so he decided he had to make a movie. He had to make a movie to try to retain the rights. So he spent $1 million on making the movie. The sad thing was this was just a movie, in their opinion, to retain the rights. The actors thought it was a real good movie. They thought this was their big break. So they weren't in on the thing where this movie was never supposed to be released. So this, as crazy as this was the costume designer just at that point just walked into an LA comic shop and bought a whole bunch of comics so they could see what these costumes are supposed to look. They didn't know anything about the characters. The actors were spending their own money and running around trying to promote this afterwards, and it was never going to be released. There was a guy named Evi Arad that worked. He was in a big head honcho with Marvel in 1993. He heard that there was a bunch of people talking about it. He paid $2 million. Okay, he paid $2 million. So if we do the math, they spent $1.25 million making this movie. He spent $2 million to have all the copies destroyed because they were so worried it was going to hurt the brand. So, but you can watch it on YouTube if you want to.
Hang on. So, a couple things. I want to know what $2 million in 93 is equivalent to now. So, I've actually seen this movie. And 1993 is funny because, like, if you watch it, you think this was made in 1983. It looks
or
so
maybe
bad.
73.
It looks so bad. And we joke a lot on this channel.
Mr. Fantastic's arm stretching.
So we joke a lot on this channel about, that they try to make a bad movie, like they knew this was going to suck. By the way, that is the equivalent to $3.5 million in today's money. But honestly, like, nobody tries to make a bad movie, right? People, like, they make a movie and it doesn't work for a variety of reasons. This actually sounds like they not only tried to make a bad movie, just didn't care. Like, didn't care at all.
They didn't care. They had to make a movie.
Just to keep the rights.
Yeah.
That's
what
hilarious.
they did.
That's
they
actually
made a movie.
Feel bad for the actors on that. That's quite sad. But all right, those are our top 10 worst superhero movies of all time.
You guys didn't put Daredevil on your list? 2003?
First of all, watch the director's cut. That's not as bad as everybody says.
Okay, I might have to watch that, but I haven't seen that version. But come on,
Yeah, I mean,
Bullseye in that movie was
make
awful.
It doesn't make it good. It's just not the top 10 of all time.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Bullseye was awful. A lot of that movie was awful.
Yeah.
I just want to point out, like, 2 Evanescence songs is fucking hilarious in the soundtrack.
Do you guys want to hear what the internet say about?
Oh yeah, do you have the compile? Yeah, I bet Daredevil's gonna be on this.
So this is 7 separate lists, the main list on the internet that I compiled all together. Number 1, Catwoman 2004.
Bam.
It was on all 7 lists. Number 2, Batman and Robin.
Mm-hmm.
It was on 6 of the lists. Fantastic Four 2015 was on 6 of the lists. Superman 4, The Quest for Peace was on 5 of the lists. Steel was on 5 of the lists.
So far, we're nailing it.
Yeah, Elektra was on 4. Supergirl, 1984, was on 3. Punisher Warzone was on 3.
I didn't think that was that bad.
This.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
I mean, that's what they say.
Uh-huh.
The Spirit
Oh, that sucked.
was on 3.
Yeah, that was bad.
And number 10 was basically 2 that were like identical placement on the list, and that was the Green Lantern and X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Green Lantern's not as bad as people make it out to be. It's not good, but it's not.
Yeah, I didn't hate it as much as people want to try to say I hate it.
No.
I didn't like it and think it was great, but I didn't hate it like a lot of people
Yeah,
did.
no, I concur. I would have been okay with sequels just to see something. But yeah, okay. Interesting. I feel like for the most part, with this and our best movies, I feel like we were pretty good in terms of what the internet's consensus was also.
Yeah.
So, nice. Okay. What do we got? Do you got some this or that for us?
I guess this or that. This or that.
This is probably...
This or that.
This might be my favorite segment.
Is it?
Dare I say. I like this. I also like that I don't read what they're going to be in the email you send just so I could react naturally.
Okay.
All right. Hey.
We're going to see how this goes.
So,
We're going to see how this goes.
Harvey, you're answering every one of these also.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Number 1. If you were a mutant who had to have one of these 2 options, would you rather that you had been covered with fur or covered in scales?
I got to go fur on that one.
Fur. Easy.
Who wouldn't want fur? That's all cuddly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soft and cuddly.
You can
That's what I
find...
I mean, wait,
you-
are the scales armored? Are they like dragon scale or?
Nah, cause it don't matter because, bro, like, there's furries out there, man.
Scales, bro.
But like, am I gonna be able to bounce bullets off my skin?
You can
or
use
what?
your imagination to add anything that you want to this, but you'll be making parts up.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Scales, you're not getting laid. There are furries in the world right now that like that kind of thing, and you would be a natural for them. So I'm going fur.
Okay. All right. Would you rather have the power to gently nudge anyone's decisions all the time, or have complete puppet master control of 5 random people, not specific people of your choice?
Ah, shit.
I gotta go the subtle route.
That you could nudge anybody anywhere all the time?
Wait, is it a passive ability like Kilgrave where you can't really control it at all?
No, I would imagine it's probably not even that strong. It's
You
just
could
like,
manipulate to some degree.
By choice.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
kind of like if they have an opinion about one thing or the other, you can
you could
steer
push
that.
which way they're gonna go,
Yeah.
not directly influence and say you're gonna like this, but like
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd go with that one.
I'm gonna go that route also, just because I'm afraid of the 5 people I'd be able to puppet master. Like if you could let me puppet master one person of my choice, I'm taking that. But if not,
These could be 5 people that I don't even know, that I've never even
yeah, this
around.
could be like 5 fucking hobos.
Where the other
Like
one, I
a
could
homeless
use
meth
that
head.
in
Yeah,
every
exactly.
situation.
So I'm just like, if I have no choice at all, then I'm gonna go with a gentle nudge.
Okay,
If
I
I got
think
to-
I'm going to also.
If I got to pick, though, I shudder at what I would do with the possibility.
Okay, number 3. What would you rather, or would you rather always be able to see 5 minutes into the future at all times, or always be able to see 50 years into the future?
5, because I feel like you could do a lot more of that. Speaking of great Nick Cage movies, have you guys ever seen the movie Next?
Oh
With
yeah,
him
that
and
was a good
Jessica
movie.
Biel. Yeah, when he could see 2 minutes in the future, like all the cool shit he could do with that. I feel like in terms of like immediately affecting my life and making it better, 5 minutes is the way to go.
But I feel like everything becomes spoilers at that point.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, that's part of the thing. It's the power. Here's the thing. I'm 50 years old. All I'm going to see in 50 years.
Plus, I mean, in terms of just short-term financial gain and all that kind of stuff, and I love the scene when he goes into the diner and hits on Jessica Biel and just strikes out like 80 times until like he sees the right way to go. That would be me every single night. Like that'd be amazing. I
Basically,
like it.
he just Groundhog Days it.
Yes.
The whole time.
Yes. I'm going. That 5 minutes would be amazing. That's all I need is 5 minutes.
Get so much action.
All right.
okay.
You the same thing, Weapon 2? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have 50 more years, so I'm going with the 5 minutes. Would you rather be able to teleport anywhere or be able to read minds?
Oh, fuck. That's hard.
I gotta go teleport.
You answer. I'm thinking.
I think that you know what? I think that the ability to read minds is overrated. What if you don't really want to know what somebody thinks about you? You know,
Well-
I'll tell you what, some people have some weird thoughts that maybe I don't want to know. I'd rather just be able to go on vacation at a very inexpensive.
You ever work with somebody and just stay silent most of the time? People will just tell you shit. They'll just tell you the most awful things that's going on through their heads if you just stay silent. So you can already basically read people's minds anyway. So why not just have the other option?
Well, you can read some people's minds. Some people don't tell you everything that's going on in their head.
I'm going reading minds.
Okay.
The teleporting thing is super interesting, but again, thinking in terms of how am I going to make money? I feel like, you go to the blackjack table, you read what everybody's doing, read all their hands. And not just that, but if I actually wanted to do good, that's a good way to identify, serial killers or whatever. I feel like there's a lot more interesting stuff you could do. Now, don't get me wrong, teleporting is great. That movie Jumper is great, despite Hayden Christensen.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah, no. So that's
Jump into the middle of a bank vault.
Don't get me
all
wrong.
Money.
That's dope. That has a lot of appeal. That's like the flashy one. You know what I mean? Like that's on the surface is great. But I think the reading minds thing would be a lot more useful once you master it. So I'm going to go reading minds.
I choose to alternate powers every other day.
You can't just make up
I
shit.
know, I just made that up. You're right. I'm on the fence.
I would say I'd be happy with either. Like, honestly, either one I could make work for me.
All right. This is our final question.
Okay.
Would you rather be able to control animals, but not humans, with your mind, or control electronics with your mind? So you could make anything electronic do
whatever I
anything
want.
you wanted to, or you could make animals, not humans, do anything you wanted them to.
I'm going to go with animals. Because, like, electronics, short of making them, like, short out and, like, do weird shit to the people who own them, which would be funny, I'm thinking animals I could come up with more interesting things to do.
What do you think, Harvey?
Like, what would you do with the animal thing? Like, do the whole Disney princess thing where the deer come up to you and, like, what are you gonna do with that?
I'm going to be walking around Green Lake in Seattle, and I'm going to see a hot chick walking her dog and make the dog come up to me and think I'm the most awesome person in the world. And, oh, my God, yeah, animals love me. Ah.
Okay,
Look
well,
at
that's reasonable.
Look at this deer over here. I could totally, like, oh, see,
So
animals
you're
love
into
me.
Disney princess.
Totally gonna
Okay,
Disney princess
gotcha.
it, yeah.
So,
I'm not going to do anything productive with
Although
this
I
power.
can't really think of what I would do with animals anyway.
Also,
so-
I just kind of want to ride a tiger. I mean, if I could make that happen, like, into battle, like, that would be dope.
here's the difference.
you're
With
right,
the,
a tiger
with the
to work.
electronics, you could completely wreak all kinds of havoc if you wanted to, or manipulate. You could put all the money in the world in your bank if you wanted
Oh,
to.
shit, I didn't think of that.
Well, you can. So
there you go.
there's that. But the cool factor of being the Beastmaster, walking around with gorillas and tigers and lions.
Do you remember
and
those movies?
Bears.
Do you remember
And
Beastmaster?
they're all running around just like they're your pets and shit. That would be cool as
Those
shit.
were the dumbest movies, Beastmaster. He had
But
ferrets,
that'd
man.
be fun though.
That would be fun, but I'm going to retract. I'm going technology, because, like, when the fuck could I just walk around with my bears and shit? I forgot about getting rich. I'm going to get rich. That'll get me the chicks in Green Lake also. So, yeah, technology. All right, is that it? Is that all we got? I feel like that's all we got.
That's it, man.
Okay, sweet. We should plug the contest again.
Okay, let's do it.
Plug away.
Okay,
you
here's
do
the
it. You're
deal.
so good at it. You're so enthusiastic. Bring the energy. Bring the energy.
Here's the deal, folks. What we need you to do, what we want you to do, because we're building our subscribership, we want to give you cool stuff, is we need you to go to the YouTube posting of this podcast. We want you to comment with your name. We want you to share this podcast, but most importantly, we want you to share the information for the giveaway. And we're going to be giving away a variety of comic books. We're giving away a Funko Pop. We're giving away some other cool items in there. I'm doing a original drawing for everybody.
You'll also
so
get
an original piece of artwork.
one of our custom logo T-shirts.
Custom logo
drawn by
t-shirt.
this man.
Yeah, there's more fun than you can stuff in a box. That's what I'm saying.
So yeah, go ahead and do that. If you're listening to this on one of our
shoehorn this stuff into this box.
if you're listening to this on one of our other platforms, we very much appreciate it. We're on, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spreaker. But if you can, if you're down, if you like what we're doing, head over to the YouTubes, type in the world's greatest news and reviews. We'll pop up there. Subscribe to our channel because that is what we're really trying to build up. We're also on Facebook. Go ahead and like the page. There's a lot of cool stuff that's posted daily on that site. But yeah, we want you to subscribe to the channel, and like Weapon 2 just said, go to the comments of this video, comment your name, let us know you're a new subscriber, so we'll enter you in. Share all of our information. We want to grow this because the faster we get to 200 subscribers, the faster we'll do another giveaway, right?
That's right.
That's right. Free shit.
Next giveaway.
Free shit. There's nothing better than free shit at all. Harvey, you have anything to say? Any closing thoughts?
No, I guess we're out.
Weapon 2, anything?
I woke up in a new Bugatti.
Hey! Thank you for joining us on this episode of the world's greatest podcast. If you enjoyed this, be sure to like and subscribe. Peace.